Hi, it's Chris Burnett from Green Dragon Tai Chi and Qigong. Just want to talk a little bit today about practice, and my question to you is, what is your daily practice? And the reason I'm asking this is because if you're watching this, you're probably a Tai Chi practitioner, martial artist, Qigong practitioner. You may attend one of our classes, or you may just be a subscriber to the channel. But it doesn't matter which category you're in. Chances are you're doing some type of practice, and hopefully it's a daily practice. Again, what is your daily practice? Okay. And the reason that I'm asking that is I want to know if you're getting into the depth of what it is that you're doing. We've all heard the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. Well, as a martial artist or a Qigong practitioner, you may be exposed to thousands of techniques. I mean, there's hundreds of martial arts, there's thousands of techniques of Qigong, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, self-defense, and you know, all of them probably good if you take them to a deeper level of understanding, or if you integrate them into your system so that they become a part of you. But the only way these things can become a part of you is through consistent practice. I know that a lot of times we like to expose ourselves to different things before we settle down and find out what it is that we want to practice every day. Some of you may attend a lot of workshops. I like to go to a lot of workshops, and I'll share with you some of the things that are on my mind as I attend these workshops. So one thing, I always want to make sure that I'm taking something away from the workshop with me. And by that I mean the person who's presenting the workshop, or the people who are presenting the workshop, they may cover more than one thing. They may cover a variety of things. It may be a single thing, but there's going to be different aspects of that one thing. And so there's information coming at you, okay? So one way I like to retain that information is taking notes. Another way, if they'll let me videotape, I'll try it video. And when they come out with a video after the workshop, I want to make sure that I'm watching that video. But mainly, if I can take away one thing, then I feel that that workshop is worth my money. And I take that one thing and I integrate that into my daily practice. That way I don't lose it. So I feel if I go to a workshop and we cover all these great things, and a year from now, I don't know anything from that workshop. I may know what it was about, but I may not be able to do a technique I learned there, or I may not have the feeling of what they were trying to convey at that workshop. Then I feel like I just kind of, you know, gave them some money and didn't take anything away from it. Sure, I probably had great camaraderie, and you know, it's always great to be around like-minded people. And it may plant a seed. It may be that, okay, in the future this will grow. But I don't like to wait. I want that, once that seed is planted at the workshop, I want to put it to use right then. Okay, I want to take at least one thing and integrate it into my daily routine. So, same thing like if you're going to classes, different classes. If a teacher shows me a technique and we're working on that technique for the day, and we come back to that technique, say a couple months later, who remembers how to do that rotation? I do. Because I've took it home, I've contemplated it, I've had somebody grab me, here, grab my arm. I practice it, I keep doing it, practicing it. I may not practice it every day, but I want to get the feeling of it, I want to integrate it, and so that I'm not always having to relearn it. There's different levels of learning. I may have to come back to it and say, oh yeah, I forgot about that part, or now that I have this, now here's a deeper understanding of it. So it may be that it grows, but I don't want to just let everything go. Okay, so I'm starting to digress a little bit. This is not the purpose of me making this video. I guess the reason that I wanted to talk about this daily practice and being consistent with only practicing certain things is that you see so many people who have been exposed to a lot of different techniques and can't really do them. They can't do them in they can do them with a compliant partner, but they can't do it in a non-compliant situation, whether it be an actual real-life adversary, or if they're doing a demonstration on somebody and he's not going along with it. He's He's not just standing there being the uki, okay? So how do you get to that point? How do you get from learning a technique to actually being able to apply it? Or how do you build the qualities in your form that are necessary for you to be able to apply these techniques? And that's limiting your practice. You know, limiting yourself from being exposed to so much and thinking that you know everything that you learn or that you're exposed to, and not practicing it. Just say, okay, I know I've done this one day, okay, let's move on to something else. Or I learned from this teacher, now I'm going to this one. I'm not going to practice what he's doing, practice what he's doing. And then I learned this, okay, I'm not practicing what he's doing, I'm going to some other teacher, now I'm practicing what he's doing, now I leave. So it's too much, it's too much. You have to think of what's important to you, what's important to your training, and take few techniques, few good forms, and practice those things consistently. When you practice a form, if you're just practicing every now and then just to keep it in your memory, that's fine. If you just want to, you know, display your form every now and then, or say, okay, I know this form. But there's a difference between knowing of it and actually knowing it. So if you can take that form and practice it every day, even more than once a day, on a consistent basis, then you start getting into the intricacies of the form. Then you start learning what the person who invented the form actually wanted the practitioners to learn. You start to get the subtleties of, is it coming from the foot, through the body, out the hands, being expressed? Are you turning in the right place? Is your weight in the right place? These things your teacher can show you and talk to you about, but unless you're doing the form consistently and feeling it, only then do those things really reveal themselves to you. Same thing with a martial technique, a qigong technique. You may learn a technique, but if you're not doing it, haven't practiced it, and have people do it to you, you're not getting the feel of it, becoming to where it is in your subconscious, then you're not really, you're just scratching the surface. Okay, it's good if it's a novelty and you just have fun doing it, that's fine. But if you really want to be good at it, and you want to say that you know it and really be have the integrity behind your movements of, okay, I know this because I practice this, then it's important to have that consistent daily practice of whatever it is you're doing. And it's also important to know how much time you have to practice. You may only have 2 hours to practice, 1 hour to practice, so you have to, okay, what's important to me? Okay, I like to push hands. I want to know that my martial arts are practical, that I can use them. And I also want to stay true to Tai Chi, true to my style. Okay, so what's important to me are those things. So what do I do to exude those qualities, or at least integrate them, or at least say that I'm on the path towards those things? And one would be my standing meditation. I have to do that. If you're doing push hands and you're not doing the standing meditation, it's possible that you may achieve a certain level of skill. I don't know how far you can go, but I guarantee, or at least I'll say, I'll bet you that your skill could go even higher if you're doing the standing meditation. Okay? Not only important for push hands, important for forms, learning to release, learning to relax, learning to be sung. You know, the standing meditation is your posture. It teaches you the moving part. The still part teaches the moving part, that stillness in movement. So that's it. I have to do that every day. What else is important to me? I said being able to push hands and express martially. So I'm doing 4 energies work. I'm doing 8 energies work every day. I'm doing these things. The drills that I teach, I'm doing them every day. Forms, I'm doing the forms every day. You know, your form should be changing over the years. It shouldn't be that you're always on the same level. As you do it time and time again, you start to feel different about them. You get a different quality on the inside. I remember one of my goals was to actually be very graceful, right? And you know, you may not always have that grace as much as when you first start, and it's nice, and they call it being like flowery. But the more you integrate the Tai Chi principles in, it may not have that same floweriness, but it's going to be graceful because you're following the principles of Tai Chi, because you're moving from the foot out and expressing it. You have a quality of opening the joints, openness, moving from the center, just being connected. So those things, the gracefulness will be a byproduct of those things, and you won't acquire those things unless you have that daily practice, okay? So I know I'm trying to like beating that into the ground right now, but I think what I see sometimes is people who, as I stated earlier, they just kind of go from here to there, from teacher to teacher. They're building a library of all these techniques, all these things that I know I can do this, I can do that. Unless you're doing it every day, no, you can't. You can do it a little bit on the surface level perhaps, but if you want to get deeper into what you're actually doing, consistency is the key. I actually wrote a blog about consistency is the key, and maybe I'll put that into a link to that in the comments below. You can read that. And it's a little bit different than what I'm talking about now, but it's the same thing. It ties right in. So if you're a practitioner of anything, and I'm not just talking about martial arts, whatever it is you like to do, like playing guitar, things like that. So I hope this was helpful to you. And whatever you're practicing, if you're practicing too much, you think you're practicing too much, narrow it down. Do something that you can do every day. Find a good routine that works for you, that's something that's going to be leading towards your goals. Well, ask yourself first, what are your goals? Why are you practicing? If it's Qigong and you're practicing for health, which exercises that you do make you feel healthy, make you feel good? Which ones do you know of? And it may be something that you may not feel the full effects of it yet. Maybe you know somebody who does it, or you read about it and you've been practicing it. My thing is, don't give up on it. Do it until you feel those effects, okay? I don't want you to be blind about it. Do it 10 years and you never feel anything. Obviously something's not right and you need to adjust somewhere. But with the Tai Chi ball, I've been doing the Tai Chi ball almost every day for about a year and a half now. And if you do it for 1 month, 2 months, you may or may not feel anything. But if you start doing it for, I'd say, 6 months, you start getting into a year, and you're doing that Tai Chi ball, and now your Dantian has a new quality of movement. It starts to spread throughout your whole body, right? So I'm excited to see what it's going to be like in 10 years of me doing that Tai Chi ball, all those different exercises, and what type of quality it's going to build in my body. So consistency is the key. Don't spread yourself too thin. Find out what your goals are, what exercise is going to help you meet those goals, and don't give up. Take it deep. Take it years deep into those practices. Find those qualities that you want to find. That's what the masters did, and that's what the masters still do. Thanks for listening to me ramble on at Green Dragon Tai Chi and Qigong. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. We do a lot of work on martial techniques, also some health topics, form corrections, things like that. So once again, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. Peace and blessings.